So it only remains now for me to show you how to put the top wing onto the fuselage and the struts. So hopefully you're at this stage now where we've got the wing, we've got the interplanes in position glued, we've got our ailerons, we've got the control horns in place, and we've got our little aileron bosses in place as well, little 3D printed parts. The easiest way to do this is we will be threading the control wires for the ailerons through there. There's only one hole really that we've got to thread it through in the inner ribs here, as you can see just there. And they just free flow through there. They don't have to go through any small holes or anything like that. They just pass through that little arch. Obviously they are already passing through the tops of the struts here, and this position here should fall exactly over the holes in the ribs there. The easiest way to do this is to do a dry fit first before we start gluing stuff. And as always, we need to avoid putting any glue anywhere near the or on. We're going to have to put it near, but on the wires themselves, on the control wires, because obviously that'll increase the friction, and we won't get good aileron movement as a consequence. I've come up with a little trick, a little hack, and that is to actually just add a little bit of our oil here. This is what I use for the engines actually, and it's looking a little bit well, obviously it's expanding in the heat. It's quite warm today, so I'm just going to use a tissue to just wipe off any excess, and then I'm just going to pull that tight so I know where the wires are coming through, and I'm just going to add a little bit of oil onto the wire themselves. Try not to get it onto the plastic, because obviously that'll then stop the that'll stop the glue from sticking. But if we just get some on the wires, it provides a little bit of protection, and also during operation it certainly might help as well. It's going to soak into those threads and hopefully reduce the friction a little. And the other thing that you could use is wax, which would probably be as effective. So there we go. I can see that the wires have darkened slightly where the oil is. So that's good. Right. Now let us do a dry fit. So I'm going to pop both of these through the left hand side. Now I've still got my marked thread of the two here, but we'll sort that out in a second. So I've popped both of those through. Don't have to use a threading tool, like so, and ditto on the other side. Rest that there for now, balances out nicely. Put that through. And then you should be able to see, turn over, where exactly the top of the struts go. Now there should be a couple of slots in the wing. That correspond to the tops of the struts. So let me just pick this up. So hopefully you can see somewhat of how that all fits together. So you can't actually see the top of the plastic struts, but they are sitting in the little slots that are provided. And obviously you want them pushed all the way in. That's how you know you've got it all lined up. And my control wires are free to run, so that's perfect on that side. Let's just check on this side. Go, slot it in, and there we go. They're free to run, so that's good. So it's good on both sides. So what I'm going to do now is just remove this so that I can pull the two pieces apart, the wing and the fuselage, but not so much as all of the thread comes out. So what I'm going to do now is just slacken off that thread so it falls downwards from the strut. Make sure my wires aren't going to pull out. And then I'm going to add some glue to the inside of the strut. As I said, avoiding the wires, or getting glue on the wires. The other thing you could do if you wanted is actually put a little bit of tape around the wires themselves, just to protect them. But I'm going to go with it. I've done this a few times now, so just going to. The super nos really helps because it helps keep the load light on the glue itself. So that's one side. Around. There we go. Right, now let's bring these together. So firstly, let's pull the wires through. Both sides. Go. As we get closer, we'll pull them through so they're taut. Go. And position those struts exactly in the place that they need to be, so we're not smearing any glue around either. So I now need to pick everything up and start positioning those struts into their slots. There's one. So I've got one side in, and because these sort of stretch apart slightly, what I'm going to do is just let this one fall away for now until the glue has dried, and then I'll use the contact adhesive properties. So let's just check my cables pull through without resistance. Yep. There's no glue on there. It's very difficult to see with biplanes because the wings tend to get in the way. So I'm literally just moving the wires back and forth through the holes just to make sure that they're free to move and that there's no residue on them either. Making sure everything is where it should be. Okay, that all looks good. Let's just move to the other side now. And just press that into position. Excellent. So we don't seem to have any wing twist either, which is great. And we have free running cables. Good. Okay, so we'll let that dry for a little while, and then we'll come and thread the cables through the aileron bosses and attach them to the aileron control horns. We've marked one of the, or two of the strings, two of the control wires on either side, and we're going to put these to exactly the same control horn on each of the aileron surfaces. So what I suggest is that the ones that we've marked black, which are the ones connected to the rearmost control arm and come out the rearmost on the fuselage and are the rearmost hole of the holes at the top of the struts, we put those to the lower control horns, which means that they will go through the upper slot in the little aileron boss that we've put on the or we've adhered to the wing there. So the other side will obviously, the other string will go to the top control horn on the aileron, which means it will thread through the lower slot on the aileron boss there. So that's what we're going to do first, is get this through. And I'm going to turn this round. In fact, we'll do the starboard side first. So let's just make sure that our control wires are not twisted. So, and then make sure we've got the right ones in our hands. So that's the one without, so that's forward, and this should be the one with the marking. So we'll just pop that through the wing for now, like so. Okay, so the unmarked is going to go through the lower part of the control of the aileron boss. And the way we're going to do this, because we've got those little retaining pillars as well, is we're firstly just going to loop it round that first pillar on the lower slot. And let me get my tweezers. I'll show you this once I've done it. So there we go. Let me just lift that up to show you. So as you can see, I've just slotted it through that first part there. Now you can try and get it round the corner, and that has proved difficult for me in the past, so that's why I brought it out this way first, and then I'm going to push it straight back through. Put a little bit of tongue water on the tip there to stop it fraying, and then just a little bit closer so I can see it. Slot that through. Pick it up a bit, get a little bit more of an angle. So that goes through the second one. So as you can see there, I pushed it through. Hopefully you can see that's now coming through and out the other side here. So I'll now grab that with my tweezers, and you can see, pull it through. So that's now around the aileron boss through those two little pillars. Now I want it to go through the wing. There's a slot in the wing that's just there. So I'm just going to use my threading tool just to make things easy and go grab it. So that's now round the aileron boss, through those two pillars and out the other side. So let's just pull that through. There we go. So that's now out the other side. We'll leave that until we've got the other wire through. So this is going through the, well, as the aircraft's upside down, the top slot of the aileron boss, which is actually the lower slot once it's flipped over. So once again, we're going to thread it through, past that first pillar, like so. Pull it out through, and then make sure the frays don't stop it going through, and then just thread it back through past that second pillar. There we go. Excellent. Right, I shall do that on the other side, and then we will hook up the ailerons. So I've got both sides threaded up now, so we can start the process of attaching. I'll show you, the easiest one to show you is the top wing. So you'll notice that plane flying overhead. I don't know whether you can hear that. The control horns have got a little hole in, which you can pop a threader through, and we can just grab the wire and pull it through. So what I'll do is hold the horn with a pair of sturdy tweezers while doing that. There we go. And then obviously there's a particular shape to the hole. You can see there it's got a sort of a little cleat. It's almost like a pip shaped. So once you get the wire in, if you pull it back on itself, then it cleats. And you can sort of fold the cleat there and then, and that obviously brings about tension to the wire. What I'll do is do the opposite side, so the lower side here, and then I can apply tension to, well actually, sorry, no, I'll do the top side because that's on the same, arm, isn't it, on the aileron control. So let's just pop our, get that in a position you can see it. That went through without holding with tweezers, but I will hold it with tweezers. Oh no, it pulled through fine. There we go. So if I pull there, okay, put a bit of tension on that. There we go. So this both slightly raised up at the moment. Now if we just flip over and do the same, probably not going to be able to see this as well, but let's just thread the aileron. Go. Once again, a little bit of tension on that. Let's just do the other side, and then we will equal everything up. Oh, the one thing that you do need to check, and it probably is, but the aileron control arm inside the fuselage obviously has to be in the neutral position. Obviously it's already attached to the linear servo, so that should be centralized, and obviously the aileron control arm will therefore be in the neutral position. So right, now let's start tensioning everything properly. Tweezers are quite useful at this juncture if you've got fat fingers like me. I'm just putting a little bit of tension . Go. So what I'm going to do, now I've got those lower parts tensioned, is, remember, you fold them back on each other once the wire is through the control horn. It folds back on itself either side. Now I've got a slight down deflection on there, and that will get pulled with the tension on the top, so it will neutralize. So just a little bit of down, and I'm going to add a blob of CA glue, so my rocket to the control horn, just where the wire goes through. just to lock that in position. And it doesn't matter if it travels down the wire a bit, and in fact what we'll do is we will push the wires together, the one that enters and the one that returns, so that they form a loop basically, and we're relying on the glue to keep that loop intact. So just bring them together, and obviously leave the tail for now. There we go. Just add a little more tension on this one. There we go. Just fold those over so you can see, hopefully just here where it's folded over and the glue is sort of sitting between the two pieces of string as well, just locking it in place. There we go. So we'll let that dry, and then we can add tension to the top control horns as well. Let us tighten up the top control wires for the ailerons, and that's once again just a process of just pulling it taut, making sure that the aileron is sitting at neutral. Just add that extra pressure to fold the wire into place. And then just drop in a little bit of the old cyanoacrylate just to lock it in position. There we go. So once that's dry, we can trim off our tails with a nice sharp scalpel, and the rest of the build, putting the pilot in, prop on, obviously we've got our hatch, which we've already built. If you've done the 3D printed part, then you'll be able to follow that that particular video as well. We've got good plane activity here today. Got the windows open because it's nice and warm. So anyway, so the rest of the build is just as the standard Fokker D7. So that about wraps it up for the 4-channel upgrade. Oh, one final note before I leave you: the receiver that we have in this aircraft. Of course, some of you may have purchased the stabilisation unit, and the setup for that, if you've set up your aircraft exactly as I've done with the aileron control wires, then up on screen now I shall put the settings that you should use with the SR3X control. So there you go, there you have that for free, and very happy flying with your new 4-channel Fokker. Thank you. Bye bye.